for you. It was just me moving the bag out of the way.
Okay. Is it happening? Is it going? I think it is. There we go. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Used to Have a Problem. Seems to be a big problem today. Next, Bridge Hydrocarbons, just a little more than an hour ago, announced that they have lost the lease to the university lands in Texas, which is in the Oro Grande, where like a huge bulk of their oil is. Did my thing just freeze? Oh, there we go. Okay. Maybe the internet's just dying. What the hell? Don't tell me to insert ads. Just make my video stream, you jerk. There we go. Okay. So there... Might as well just go there right now. Wait, you know what? I don't think my intro... Oh, the intro wasn't off. Boom. Bam. Come on. Give it to me. There we go. All right. So this was the press release that they put out. The company is disappointed to announce University Land's decision not to extend our subsidiary's development unit agreement for the Oro Grande asset, which expires on December 31st, 2024. University Lands has also sought to terminate the development unit agreement effective immediately, which the company has not agreed to. Chairman and CEO Greg McCabe said, "We are both dismayed and puzzled by this decision, despite having put forth what we believe to be a strong and fair proposal. While disappointing, I would like to assure our loyal shareholders that we as a company will continue to boldly move forward. We have worked these last few months to expand and diversify NextBridge, and our company portfolio goes beyond the Oro Grande asset. I look forward to providing updates in the weeks and months to come of our progress and new direction." Not a particularly promising press release there. Yes, they've got some leaseholds and some properties, other places, but the university lands represents 100,000 plus acres and 3.5 billion barrels of oil and 6 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. So not having that is a big, big blow to the company. I would venture to guess that shady things have involved at the state level to make sure that this lease is not renewed. Well, they've met the requirements for the lease renewal, right? Because the lease gets renewed every year or two. You've got to drill X number of wells. You have to do development on the land, things like that. They've been doing that at the cost of tens of millions of dollars a year. So if right, they spend tens of millions of dollars to meet the requirements to have a lease renewal, and then the lease isn't renewed, well, sue, right? You can sue, and even if the lawsuit doesn't really go anywhere, what you can do in that lawsuit is you can get a whole bunch of discovery. You can find out all of the emails, phone calls, written letters, whatever happened to be between the folks who made that decision and the folks who made them make that decision, if you know what I mean. Like, let's say someone from Exxon, Shell, BP, whatever, comes along and says, "Hey there, Governor Abbott, we hear there's a lot of oil out of this Oro Grande, and this little wildcat operation is ready to start developing it. It'd be a real shame if they were developed that when we're the big boys can easily go out there and drill 1,000 wells in a year and have that sucker pumping," right? Easily get them to needle them and get them to drop the lease renewal for McCabe and Company. It could be someone from one of the exchanges, a market maker, GTS, Concord Genuity, Citadel, going and being like, "Hey, we would really love to put this massive stock exchange in Dallas, Texas. But, one of the things that's going to make it really difficult for us to put this huge stock exchange in Dallas is if these guys out there in West Texas still have access to these 100,000+ acres of oil. Like, we just don't like them, surviving." A lot of shady shit can go down. And I think you sue, even if you don't think the lawsuit's going to go where, you sue just for the discovery, right? And if you get the right discovery, you can bring that to SEC other regulators, right? And go from there. It just blows my mind that arbitrarily the state's like, we're not going to renew this lease, despite the fact you're meeting all the requirements for lease renewal. We're just not going to renew it. We're going to give it to somebody else, and I'll be very curious to see who gets the lease after this. Right? That should be big news. My guess is someone big, an Occidental, ConocoPhillips, someone like that is going to be getting this lease off of the state. Next Bridge has got, a little chunk in Oklahoma, a couple of chunks in Louisiana, but these don't represent 3.5 billion plus barrels of oil. So I don't what do you guys think on this? It seems to be pretty asinine and arbitrary to me. So, go. Okay. A couple super chats came in here, so I should read those first. Case Chapman. Finally, I've been wanting to hear your thoughts on Michael's DD he wrote over the weekend. I honestly didn't fully understand it. I just was like, cool. I mean, as much hopium as comes around. But I didn't fully grasp all the threads he was connecting there. Let's see if we can find it. I gotta go to that. I gotta go to Casey. You. There we go. You tagged me in it, so I gotta find out where you tagged me. Okay. Bill, bring it up to read it all entirely again. Okay. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Is it this one? No. This one? No. This one? No. This one? No. This one? Okay. That's not that one. It's not that one either. Not that one. Is it this guy? Is it the real owner of BBBY? Please stand up. That one. This guy here. Real owner of Bye Bye Baby, please stand up. How long has Bye Bye Baby had continuity of business under the current owner? Which owner? The one on the water bill? It has been 2 years as of this month since the lien on Baby from October bond deal constituted a change of control. The Philo from 6th Street had a lien, but if paid in full, that lien would be lifted. Same with JP Morgan, who was paid off day one of bankruptcy as well. It's true, JP Morgan was paid off. Those convertible bonds were converted day one of bankruptcy, and the true owner continued operations. Shareholders have not been compensated for that carve-out that happened, but there was a settlement pre-Chapter 11 that made the whole plan possible. The settlement will make the creditors whole and restore shareholders, but that will constitute a change of control because October 22 bond deal bondholders have been the owners of Bye Bye Baby since October 2022. That change of control, if it happened sooner, would mess up Bye Bye Baby's net operating losses now that the change of control can happen and the nulls will be preserved. Those 2 years have felt like 84 years. There's speculation in there, and I don't quite know where the speculation is coming from. If all that in there is cool, I'm cool with it. I know that in the winter of 2022, they offered many bondholders to do a debt for equity swap. And it seems that some of them agreed. JP Morgan was like, no, don't do it. And that's why they got paid off. Because JP Morgan was basically nixing everything coming along to have the company survive and have something come out of it. I don't know if that debt for equity swap was specifically for Bye Bye Baby interest. Because weird things happen because there was the stalking horse bid, right, of $20 million by Dream on Me, and then Dream on Me suddenly doesn't own Bye Bye Baby. It's now owned by BBBY Acquisition Corporation, right? And the folks at Dream on Me are like, we got nothing to do with this. Well, how do you have nothing to do with it if you just spent $20 million specifically inserting yourself into having something to do with it? It seems very weird to me. So, that being said, what I think has happened is you do the stalking horse bid, you split Bye Bye Baby off, however that works, right? And then because you own Bye Bye Baby as now a separate entity, and you have control of either equity or bonds in the original parent company, BBBY, you then clear all the debt, do a credit bid, pay off creditors, do debt for equity swaps, whatever, and then you bring Bye Bye Baby back in, and you maintain the same ticker symbol, you get the nulls, you do all that stuff, and you explode from there as a company. That's what I think that they're going to be doing. They sort of like broke it off so that it was a separate entity free from debt and encumbrance and all that stuff. And then once you clear all the garbage out with the plan administrator and the reorganization, then you bring it back in and go from there. That's what I think is happening. I have no proof that's happening, but that's pretty much what I think is happening. So I don't know if I answered that for you at all, Casey, but that's kind of how I feel on there. Avids, I need next Bridge Hydrocarbon thoughts. Legal, what the F is going on? I don't know. But my shady alarm is screaming that something shady went on. And super duper 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 shady. Because there's no reason. I mean, these are the small guys, right? These are the small guys who take a risk on land that hasn't been developed in the past. So they get the leases for cheap. They work it. They prove there's something there. They're raising capital to exploit it. And once they get to the point where they're ready to start pumping, that's when you pull the lease from them. That seems really shady to me. My guess is that the university lands folks were probably fed a big old dossier full of bullshit from FINRA and GTS and those guys. They were like, look at these dudes. Their former CEO is under investigation for stock pumping and stuff like that. And it's just we don't want to be a part of this. And that was probably enough for them to give a reason to be like, yeah, we're not going to renew this. When it's all just a bunch of bullshit been fabricated by the folks who want to destroy the company to begin with. And they may have succeeded. I mean, in that press release that says McCabe, we're diversifying and we're moving on, you don't really move on from losing 3.5 billion barrels of oil. That's why you just sue. You sue specifically for discovery because what else you got to lose? McCabe, sue. Do it. Get a big old fancy little southern lawyer and start getting discovery out of these guys. Because my guess is that you will find something shady between the folks who made this decision and the folks who made them make this decision. So I'm sure the DD people will start digging up all sorts of skeletons on this one. But they'll find out who is on the board of the university lands, who what boards they sit on, who their friends are, and that stuff will start coming out in the next week. Believe me. And knowing the folks in the MMTLP community, everyone on the University Lands Board is going to regret that they ever fucked with these people. Because we loco, obsessive, we will hunt you down and we will find out every little solitary teeny piece of information that's available out there. I mean, these folks hire private investigators, right? They will dig deep into whatever skeletons they have. And I think as the week moves on, we'll start to uncover a whole bunch on that. But if McCabe and the board don't do things, I don't see a survival in the future, right? I mean, this is the company who has 270 million shares, whatever it is. They've got some big time investors they're trying to sell shares to. And now all of a sudden their main block of value is just pulled out from under them. These short hedge funds are really, 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 really getting dirty. And Citizen 54, hi. Says 4, I'm just here to ruin it for the other firsters. Yes. GDC was second. GDC, a.k.a. first loser. Damn it. Low B. Houston, do you have a mod admin in chat here today? I have no idea. Why is it getting weird? Do you want to be a mod admin, Low B? I'll let you be one. Add as moderator. Boom. There you go. Bam. Bam. All right. There. I don't know if I have one, but you are now a moderator, Low B. Thank you for being drafted. Okay. GDC, how much of the delay in Bed Bath & Beyond Teddy is due to the absolute incompetence of RC's lawyers allowing all these frivolous lawsuits to drag on for so long? I say 80%. I don't know if it's so much the lawyers allowing things to drag on for so long. I think it's the prerogative of the court to just take forever to make decisions. And that the court is probably inundated with all sorts of stuff. It takes several clerks to go through all these things, and then finally, when it's like, all right, we need to do something about this, is when the judge finally gets his reading done, confers with his clerks, and then makes a decision of some kind. I don't think it's necessarily RC's lawyers who are allowed to drag on. It's just the courts. You file something and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then finally, the court makes the decision you told them to make 8 months ago. And I think that's kind of where we are. Murph and Turf Studios, happy birthday, Houston. Just watch The Box, 2009. If you press the button, you get $1 million, but someone you don't know dies. Do you press the button? Nah. You don't need that kind of karma for it. That's $1 million. Like, okay, you got to pay your, depending on if it's winnings, you got to pay your 28% taxes. If they consider income, you got to pay 37% taxes. So you're down a couple $100,000, which gives you like a year of really good living, or a couple of years of living probably at your normal level before you have to go back to work and whatnot. And I probably wouldn't push the button. Just wouldn't do it for me. If it was $1 million, push the button and an asshole dies, well, I'd be slamming that button all day long. But if it's not an asshole that dies, then, I don't want to carry that karma. Rose Moon, hi. I started a new job this week, but my cat needs to go to the vet, and I'm worried. But anyways, anyone know how to make some extra cash? Lol. Sell your plasma? Go on down. $100 a pop. I think what they're paying now. And depending on what community you're in, there are charities that will help low-income people get vet things done. My roommate and his new kitten, he's had to use that because he works as a grocery produce section guy, and he's in school. So having to pay $200 for a vet bill is kind of detrimental to one's standard of living. So there's a charity here in the county that specifically helps low-income folks get treatment for their pets, get them neutered, get them their vaccines, things like that. So I would look into that as well. Otherwise, do a little GoFundMe. I don't know. People love helping pets. David says, next bridge news, bad news. Very. Yeah, how can this be legal? Terminating this case. That's like, how could TMWRINQTJNG this lease be legal? Terminating this lease be legal. Yeah, that's seems to me to be shady as fuck. So that's why I say sue. You just all you have to do is file the paperwork. Ask. Remember, you're suing the state at this point, so you're gonna have who's that clown for the absolute the AG in Texas, that weirdo guy who got impeached but for some reason isn't in prison even though he broke the law a bunch of times. That's the dude who's gonna be representing the state on this one, so you're gonna be able to clean his clock because he sucks. So you sue. Greg, sue. Next bridge, sue. Sue. Get that discovery, because that discovery is going to be damning. And if you find out that one of the big guys, GTS, one of those guys, or one of the oil companies, put their thumb on the scale for the University of Lands to make this decision, you sue them. And they will settle out of court for obscene amounts of money to avoid this thing going any further. Because at that point, you have a RICO case. And you can call the U.S. Attorney General, the Justice Department, and be like, hey, in our lawsuit here, we just uncovered a whole bunch of crimes. Investigate. And you know what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to investigate it. So I say sue. Sue, 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 sue. Get that discovery. Rosemoon, would you rather have unlimited bacon but no games, or unlimited games but no... Wait, or unlimited games but no games? You mean no bacon? That's what I said. I like bacon. There's a butcher in Bremerton, Washington called Minder Meats. And Minder Meats has this bacon referred to as Montana bacon, which will change your life. It'll make it so that all other bacon tastes like garbage. If you ever have a chance to eat Montana bacon from Minder Meats, I suggest you do it, because it will ruin you for all their bacon, to the point where, like, I go to stores now, I go to like a restaurant, and the option is like sausage or bacon. I just get the sausage because I know that the bacon is going to taste like dust compared to Minder Meats Montana bacon. So if I can have unlimited Montana bacon, I'd probably do that. But if it's just regular bacon you get at the store, I will take the games, actually, and just get my burgers sans bacon. Or actually, if it's not unlimited, then I can just pay for my bacon and get it anyway, according to the rules you put out in that. So, yeah, I'm going to go with games, I guess. Benjamin thinks bacon wins. Brendan Wells, sup? Michael Steegs, Houston. Did you see that No Labs wants to issue a lot more shares? Any idea what this means for FDA approval? When they had their shareholder meeting, was it last week? Shareholder call. They talked about they want to raise $75 million. My guess is to ramp up, because you need that cash to pay for a lot of production units, and set up manufacturing in Singapore. I think is where they're setting up manufacturing. So they kind of announced in that shareholders call that this was their plan, that they're going to raise $75 million. So yeah, they're going to be selling a lot of shares probably in the near future, and it sounds like that they're looking for a partner. They have to respond to the New York Stock Exchange by October 27th, because they don't have enough cash on hand at the moment to meet listing requirements. So if they either come up with enough cash or find a partner who has enough cash that they can do an agreement with, then they'll meet the requirements to continue being listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And the way they worded that announcement made it seem like they had a partner lined up. They're just kind of hammering out the details on it. So we twiddle those thumbs. Yogi 2012, for the ultimate FU to shorts, McCabe should turn NextBridge into a holdings company and buy as much GME as possible. I mean, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. Oh, sorry, 1 second. My father is calling me. I'm going to pause that for a moment. There we go. Okay, sorry, that was my Faja calling, because I have electrical gremlins going on in the car, because I left the top down and a big heavy dew fell and then fucked up all the electronics. So the car has been draining its battery, and I've been having to get rides until I rip out the airbag module and fix that whole thing. But yeah, buying as much GME as possible, that would be a hilarious way to get around it, wouldn't it? Get $40 million worth of shares of GameStop or something. I mean, you're not spending the money on doing the drills anymore. Like, it seems to me alone that if you're going to make the requirement stipulations for release renewal to spend tens of millions of dollars doing this drilling, and you do the drilling and they don't renew your lease, you can sue for breach of contract simply because they required you to do the stuff in the first place, and it cost you tens of millions of dollars, and then just arbitrarily like, nah. I would definitely demand the reasonings from the university lands. I mean, in the lawsuit, you'll get that as well. But yeah, discovery. Oats with Goats, Houston. What do you foresee being the biggest change in Western culture 10 years from now? Climate migration. I think we'll see a lot of climate migration. The last time we had big climate migration was probably Hurricane Katrina. A lot of people who had lived in New Orleans now live in places like Houston, Texas. And then they got hit by a giant Hurricane Harvey there too. But I think what you're going to see is you're going to see lots of towns in Florida as a result of this hurricane, Milton, that's coming, that is going to absolutely destroy Tampa and St. Petersburg and Sarasota and all the places in there. Is that you have a lot of folks, insurance won't pay out. They don't have insurance because insurance prices went through the roof. And it's just going to be abandoned. You're going to have abandoned lot after abandoned lot after abandoned lot. And so you're going to find, tens or hundreds of thousands of people that were living in that metro area don't come back. They will be elsewhere. And, they probably won't be homeowners elsewhere because all their equity is tied up in these homes in that area. I think we're going to see a lot of climate migration. We're going to see a lot of migration because, the weather we're having, where it's heat dome or floods, seems to really be taking over. And so if you have drought after drought after drought after drought, and your crops fail, your wells run dry, you can't sustain population centers because you're running out of water, those people have to move or they die because you need water to survive. If you are in places that are flooding constantly, well, you leave also because now you can't get insurance, you can't get rebuilt. If you're spending huge chunks of your year in disaster recovery mode, the economy completely fails. You won't be able to rebuild because they're going to change zoning laws and floodplain laws and things like that as these floods become more common. So yeah, I think the biggest change we're going to see in Western civilization is going to be climate refugees. It's going to happen because it doesn't matter how rich you are or how poor you are. If you can't control the weather, despite what conspiracy bullshit you see on the internet. You cannot control the weather. You just can't. The amount of energy that is in our atmosphere and in our water right now is so far beyond the capabilities of humanity to do anything about. It is outside of our control. You'll see these guys on Twitter and on Reddit be like, you got to tear down these Doppler radar stations. They're what's guiding the hurricanes. It's not. The scale of energy of a hurricane is mind-boggling. In 1 second, a hurricane like Milton expends more energy than a 50 megaton hydrogen bomb. A hurricane like that expends 12,000 times more energy than the entirety of the United States has the capacity to produce in a year. We're talking winds that generate 1.5 trillion watts of energy. A Doppler radar is 450 kilowatts. It's not going to be able to do shit when it comes to a 1.5 trillion watt wind. These conspiracy dweebs are like HARP and like cloud seeding and chemtrails. None of that. A hurricane is strong because of warm water. Water is warm because of direct sunlight and insulation, right? So if you're in the tropics, you get direct sunlight, coming down, warms everything up. If the atmosphere is really warm, it starts to through conductivity, warm the water as well because the atmosphere needs to get rid of this heat because it's got too much of it. And so now the surface temperatures of the waters are way above what they were historically, which, surface temperature leads to evaporation. Evaporation leads to storms, and you get monster freaking hurricanes like this. Hurricane Otis last year in Acapulco was unheard of. It was a depression that turned into a tropical storm. And they're like, oh, this thing, may become a hurricane one day. And less than 24 hours later, it had gone from tropical storm to Category 5 and wiped out Acapulco. And just sat there. It didn't move. It just sat there, just destroying Acapulco. And Acapulco got hit by another hurricane the same day as Helene was moving through. And so they got destroyed again. This is the second time in history we've seen a tropical storm go from tropical storm to Category 5 in 24 hours here with Milton. And we haven't had a hurricane track from the Gulf of Mexico across to moving east into Florida since 1896. So actually, between 1888 and 1896, there were, I think, was 6 of them, which was a really terrible time to be in Western Florida. But good thing back then there really wasn't anybody out there. But we're just going to be facing this, and insurance companies aren't going to be able to afford any of it. The damages are going to be so great. Helene is estimated at $200 billion in damages. That's ridiculous. Not only that, but a lot of the places that are damaged are never going to be able to be rebuilt. Why? Because the land doesn't exist. The Blue Ridge Mountains have lost 20 feet off their tops just from Helene alone. A lot of the homes were built on really steep slopes that, weren't being zoned properly for threat and danger, and now will be. So you may have lost a home that washed down slope and you want to rebuild, but the insurance company goes, well, you're not allowed to, because it's now against the law to build on a slope that steep. So where are you going to go? You're going to have to move somewhere, right? So climate refugees are going to be huge, and they're going to be gigantic. So just keep note of that. I think the other thing that's going to happen that's separate from climate refugees, which no one's going to have control over, is going to be AI bullshit. AI bullshit is going to be everywhere. It's already creeping at everything. It's ruining Google. You go search for things now, and AI images pop up, and not the real thing. The stupid Bard or whatever comes up and gives you a bullshit answer that's been stolen from some troll on Reddit. AI bullshit is going to eat the brains of the non-tech savvy boomers. They're going to get fooled into everything. It's going to train children to be dumb as shit, because they aren't going to have any way to synthesize information of their own. They're just going to trust whatever Grok or ChatGPT, whatever tells them. And it's going to make our entertainment suck, because all AI does is it takes something someone else did, copies it, and makes it worse. And that's it. That's going to be our future. And I'm not necessarily a Luddite. I like a lot of tech, but pretty much AI, you can just burn every AI company to the ground, and we'll be okay. There are a couple uses AI might have where they might be able to identify cancerous tumors ahead of time, but for the most part, all the work that they do, we've discovered we can synthesize this many chemicals out of this, and it turns out the AI is just lying, and then we got to spend all this time figuring out how it lied. Or they're discovering that software engineers are spending 77% more time on projects because their bosses are making them use AI to develop a framework, and then they got to go through the spaghetti code and figure out where things are wrong, and to make things, when they could just spend that time writing it in the first place the right way the first time. So I think AI is just gonna absolutely just fuck us over. So those are the two things I think Western civilization face that are going to doom us. But then again, all of civilization is going to face those problems as well. GDC. First post-MOAS purchase LL Bean rubber mocks. They're like bean boots, but slip-on, low-cut shoes. Shoelaces are for poor people. Second purchase is for some halal New York chicken over rice. That sounds bomb. I would eat that. Kelly Reed. Germany reckons with another recession. In 2024 report, the biggest disaster has been energy prices, housing, and overburdening the working class. Germany has an ability to counter the recession that they're facing, but they don't seem willing to do it. And how you do it is you do it the American way. You up defense production, and you send weapons and munitions like crazy to Ukraine. That gets people employed, boosts the manufacturing sector, fucks over Russia, who ruined your energy stuff anyway. So that's what Germany needs to do. If they want to get out of this funk, you start sending sophisticated weapons systems and munitions to Ukraine, and people will be working. You might have deficit spend, but who cares? You're Germany. You can deficit spend for now. But yeah, you don't do austerity. You get people working. You do contracts with Volkswagen to do defense stuff. so that those people can keep working, because Volkswagen's having some real weird issues with car sales at the moment. So yeah, Cody also says happy birthday, and China doing China things. China is doing China things. The saying went between yesterday and today. Yeah, good time to buy UVXY in my opinion. I do think we're coming into another bubble here. Black Udon, first most purchase, mommy milkers. Gary Klopp. So someone probably paid a few million to University of Texas to cancel the lease. Bingo. Mods can delete that if they want. Javier Martinez bought some no labs today. We'll continue to trend until I get to 10,000. That's about where I am. And then I still get a little bit here and there when I make plays, and I got a couple dollars left over, because why not? Colin's here. Colin also says, picked up some costs today. Needs to break that diagonal resistance and explode. Cost moves with GME. So when GME goes puny pop, so does costs. Andrew Stewart Houston, can you tell us the significance of the military measurement? The military measurement? Military uses a variety of measurements, including metric system, clicks, and other methods of measuring body composition. Slang term, click. Are you just talking about clicks? That's just kilometers. Military measurements? I don't know. I don't know exactly what your question is asking specifically. You may ask it again. Case Chapman Super Chats. What's going on in the Chinese market? Looks like a pump and dump. That's exactly what's going on in the Chinese market, I think. Their banks are doomed. So they did a huge cash infusion like a week and a half ago. But last week was a national holiday. So everything was closed for a week. So all the money didn't have a chance to go into the market. And it went into the market hard yesterday. And today it did a big old pullback. China's got many issues. Number one, you have China's real estate market has completely collapsed. We've seen that Evergrande, Country Garden, all these things. They're all toast. And that's 30% of their entire economy. Number two, they've pissed off their trading partners. And when China's cheap labor and they've got tooling and they can make things, cool, you send it out. There's a couple of problems. Problem number one is you're going to have your products reverse engineered, and those same factories that make your stuff are going to make the exact same products without labels and then sell them on the black market. Or undercut you and sell a new brand using very similar technology, right? So they're going to steal from you. Number three, if you have a factory set up in China, they are going to do things to you to basically extort you for money, arbitrarily close plants, weird regulatory things that have nothing to do with regulations but have everything to do with probably graft amongst Chinese party members. And so it makes doing business starting to get really hard. Number four is population decline is declining really fast, and they are largely anti-immigrant in China. So the population of China is like 1.4 billion, 1.3 billion right now. And in 30 years, they expect it to be about 600 million. So it's going to lose more than 50% of its population in the next 30 years. And you cannot maintain a workforce at that point. Not only that, but if you have real estate problems now, imagine half people vanishing. What that's going to do to real estate. It's going to make it absolutely worthless. So China's got a bunch of huge problems on their hand. And they don't necessarily... Well, I mean, there are solutions to those problems. But they don't have the political gumption to do it, such as invite immigration. Be more business friendly. Stop stealing people's technology. And you would have people investing in the nation. But they're not. The companies are pulling out. And exports are starting to drop. And large youth unemployment. So yeah, it's pretty... I think it's pretty doomed in the long run. So yeah, pump and dump. Right, monkey? Right? You know what? You're a good dog. I'll give you an ear. I'll give you an ear for now, since we only have 34 minutes left. Take that big, want that big ear right there? Yeah? Put that in your face? There you go. Whew. Not as stinky as stinky beef, but still stinky. Okay. Oh, hey there, fat cat. What's up? Well, you know that when the dog gets something, you probably get drugs. Is that what you want? Do you want to get stoned? Okay, everybody has their little picadillos here. Put that there. Put some drugs. Whoa, that's a lot of drugs. Okay, well, there you go, kitty. Get absolutely stoned out of your mind. Look at that, right there. Yeah. Oh, don't blow it all over the place. They gotta eat it. Yeah. Okay. Well, the cat's getting stoned and sitting on my mouse, so I have to do my mouse stuff over here now. Okay, there's some good crunches coming out of the dog. Ludicrous Speed, I thought, thoughts on RC's latest tweets. It was ones from last week? Okay, now I gotta open up the Twitter. Come on. Problem is that the cat's sitting on the mouse pad, and now I don't have a mouse pad to use, and I can't get the mouse to do its thing. Just, there we go. Okay, go up there. Go there. Okay. Oh, nope. Ryan Cohen. Boom. Okay, so his latest tweets was the wrinkle one that happened during our last show. And why are you so small all of a sudden? There we go. Okay. So this was the wrinkle tweet, the Botox one that he did, and people think that the Botox refers to the wrinkles will be ironed out, that we've hit some wrinkles. People talk about units. The units of Botox is how Botox is delivered when you get a Botox treatment, and that unit costs $15 each and takes this many units. So there's lots of speculation in there as to which way it's going to go. And oh my gosh, that cat is covered. You were just wearing it, you freak. Yes, you are. You are just a little drug addict, you little freakazoid. Absolutely covered head to toe in that stuff. Yeah, and then his tweet of hire micromanagers, fire delegators. I'm sure that there's some sort of secret code in there. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. As somebody who has had bosses in the past, micromanagers are the worst bosses and delegators are the best bosses. So I'm not really sure if he's serious in that respect. Yeah, micromanagers are terrible bosses. So it must be code, because no one can be that dumb. Like, you want a boss with the experience who's going to be competent enough to hire really good people. There's an old saying, there's A's hire A's, B's hire C's. And the reason why A's hire A's is because the A's are so good at their job, they're going to identify people who are just as good or better at that job, and then give them the tools they need to be successful. B's hire C's because B's are not the best at their job, and they know if they hire an A, the A will take their job from them. So they're going to hire people who are less competent at their job, and that's why the B's hire C's. So, you guys ever worked for a micromanaging boss? They're the worst. They're the absolute worst. You need a boss, a manager, who's competent in their job, who you can trust in their decision making, and who hire really good people. And then give those really good people the tools they need to succeed at whatever their job is. So you got a micromanager. The micromanager is going to be wasting everyone's time and pissing off the workforce. And I don't know. I hope that that the hire micromanagers, fire delegators, is code for something. Because if you've never worked a job in your entire life, you might think a micromanager is awesome, or being one is awesome. But if you are an employee, if you've worked in a restaurant, a grocery store, a dentist office, a toy store, doing accounts payable for someone, you do not want a micromanager. So I hope that it's code for something completely different than what he's saying here. Because if he actually means fire micromanagers or hire micromanagers, fire delegators, not a good way to run a business. GDC gifted some memberships. Hazel A, Colin, GDC gift. Oh, hey, that's the second time it's happened. GDC gifted themselves a membership, and Yas and Walt the Man in the Middle all got memberships. Fantastic. Lo B says, hello all, making BLTs for the fam while listening to Mr. Wade spit facts. Excellent. KYP, here for the tea. Geesh. A geesh. BFH, lawsuit time? Yes. Colin, Milton looks really not awesome for Florida. Milton is bad. So, here's Milton right now. It is headed directly for Tampa Bay. Looks like the current tracking has it just south of Tampa Bay, which is a little bit better than being just north of Tampa Bay. North of Tampa Bay would bring in the winds directly into the bay and absolutely increase the storm surge by a lot. So 2 days ago, when the storm was out here in the little hooky-doo of the Gulf of Mexico, they're projecting a Category 3 storm that at some point over here and maybe making landfall as a Category 2. A few hours later, they're like, oh, it'll be a Category 4, and it'll probably make landfall as a Category 2 or 3. And then yesterday morning, they're like, oh my God, it's already a Category 5. It'll probably make landfall as a Category 3 or 4. And just a few hours after that, they're like, oh my God, it's the 4th strongest Atlantic storm in history and could become the strongest Atlantic storm ever. It might make landfall as a Category 4. My guess is it's going to make landfall as Category 4 or Category 5. The water right here is the warmest the water has ever been, especially this time of year when things should be getting cooler because the sun has moved south of the Tropic of Cancer. And it is 3.5 degrees warmer than normal. This water's 31 degrees Celsius, I believe, and 28 and above just makes powerful hurricanes. So this thing's got a lot of leeway to make its way into Tampa, just sucking up energy off that surface temperature. So I think the problem is that our tracking modeling is really good. Our computer modeling for how much energy is being absorbed into these storms from the surface water is we haven't figured that part out yet. Our models have not had to go through this kind of warm water energy before. With the air as warm it is and the water as warm it is as it is. Last night there were meteorologists pointing out that this storm is basically at the theoretical limits as to how powerful a storm can be in our atmosphere. 184 mile an hour winds as of last night, 220 mile per hour gusts. The central pressure was expected to drop below 884 millibars, which make it the lowest pressure storm in the Atlantic in history. This thing's going to be brutal, absolutely brutal. I have a coworker who's spinning right now. He doesn't know what to do. His dad lives in a trailer park in Tampa. He's retired. And he's like, hey, Dad, you need to get the hell out of there. And Dad's like, nah, we'll be fine. And my coworker explained, like, hey, I will pay for airline tickets. I'll pay for gas for you to drive. I'll pay for hotel rooms. I will buy you a house anywhere in the country elsewhere. Just get out. And his dad's like, no, I'm cool. And my coworker basically expects that by sometime tomorrow night, he won't have a dad anymore. That's how brutal this storm is going to be. It's going to change the demographic map in Florida. If you are within a mile or two of the water, you're probably going to be dead. If you aren't like somehow bunkered in a really tall building, if you are ground level, you're in a trailer, you're in a stick-built home, you're going to be dead. You're not going to survive this. The storm surge is expected to be greater than 9 feet, probably between 15 and 20 feet, depending on which side of the bay it comes into. So if we open up the Google Earth, we can do a little zoom in here. Open up Google Earth. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Spinning, 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 spinning. Come on. We got to zoom in on Florida. Come on. There's the Earth. Okay. Nope. What the hell? All right. No thanks. Florida. Okay. So the storm is tracking yonder. The current modeling has it hitting directly to Sarasota. If it pulls a little north of the St. Petersburg Peninsula here, what happens is the way the storm rotates, it's going to bring the the wind directly into Tampa Bay here. And these little barrier islands, these little guys, you know, they're sitting at 1 foot, 2 feet of elevation above the water. With a 15-foot storm surge, these islands are essentially gone, at least temporarily. They're gone. Anyone who lives here is dead. There's just no way. And that storm surge and the winds are going to bring in so much water directly. Because the storm surge happens for 2 reasons. One is you have an incredible low pressure, right? The atmospheric pressure is lower than other places around. And so there's a bulge that happens from that low pressure. Just like, you know, putting your thumb over a straw or whatever. So you get a bulge from that. And then you have a wind motion moving water at rates faster than gravity can clear the water. So you can get just huge storm surges into little harbors like this if the wind is doing that special thing. That's what happened with Katrina. Katrina, you have the way Katrina came in, basically hitting sort of between Biloxi and New Orleans, is all that water got pushed into Lake Pontchartrain and then flooded into New Orleans from there, broke all the levees here. So pushing all this ocean water with the winds, because remember, Katrina comes in and Katrina is rotating that same way, and things coming to the north with the direct winds right into this harbor as Katrina's moving in just pumps so much water into here. So that is a likely scenario. What you want for Tampa Bay is a hit a little further south, which already got absolutely hammered not too long ago. But it'll keep a lot of the storm surge away because the winds will be pulling out of the harbor, essentially. So hitting Sarasota and further south directly might save the bay a little bit of grief. Hitting north will absolutely fuck them over. But regardless, even if it hits Sarasota directly on, it's still going to be probably a 10-foot storm surge going into St. Petersburg with, 150-mile-an-hour winds. They're talking about using like Tropicana Stadium as Tropicana Field as shelter. That tin roof I don't think is going to survive 150-mile-an-hour winds. All you're going to do is rip the top off that thing and then just expose a bunch of people to weather inside of it. This storm's going to be brutal. There's no qualms about it. It's going to be one of the most brutal storms to probably ever hit the United States of America. And if you are in Tampa, you're going to die. The mayor said it. The NOAA has said it. The National Hurricane Center has said it. Basically, if you are still in Tampa, write your name and your address and other identifying information on your arms or your legs so they can identify your body. It's going to be brutal. It's going to cause hundreds of billions of dollars in damage. It's going to kill anyone who's there. And the sad thing is that I think one of the biggest failings of the United States when it comes to emergency planning like this is not putting together plans to evacuate people. Because there's a lot of people who can't afford to evacuate, who physically can't evacuate. We got people in hospitals, we've got elderly, we've got infirm, we've got poor people. Those folks get left behind because they don't have the money for the gas to get in their car. They don't have the money for hotel rooms. If I were in charge of the United States government, I would delegate FEMA to have pre-emergency plans, meaning you have buses, trains, whatever set up and get people out of their homes. You do mandatory evacuations where you've got the sheriffs going through neighborhoods, knocking on doors and pulling people out of their homes and putting them on a bus if they aren't willing to do it themselves. The death and destruction that's the result of folks who physically can't move on their own or can't afford to do it is an absolute crime in this country. And the people who died in New Orleans didn't die because they're stupid and staying behind like my friend's dad. They died because they couldn't afford to leave. They just couldn't do it. So one of those things we need to really change in this country is figuring out how to get people out before the storms hit. And another reason why we need to have much, much better public transportation infrastructure is the fact that everyone has to drive to get out of this place, and we don't have trains that people can fill up and just leave on. The swath of this storm is basically hurricane force winds from about Gainesville down to Naples. So essentially, half the state. And it's expected to be Hurricane 2 force winds when they get into Orlando still, and still be a Category 1 or 2 hurricane when it gets back out to the ocean. And who knows where it's going to go after that. So it's going to have hurricane force winds across the entire state. And it's going to do damage inland that has never been seen before by storms. This thing is a monster. And this is what our future looks like. This is why we're going to have, climate refugees everywhere. Just imagine how many vacation homes aren't properly insured, how many Airbnbs aren't properly insured. They're going to get wiped out by this. So if you think housing's a problem before, it's going to be even bigger now. And you've got huge geriatric populations. This thing's going to be gnarly. It's going to affect and change the state of Florida probably as significantly, if not more so, than Andrew did. And Andrew was a Category 5 that hit Miami and did, back then it was like $25 billion of damage. It was the most costly storm in history. This thing's probably going to be 10 times that bill, if not more. It's just brutal. And I'm not sure exactly how we're going to come out of this, having, $500 billion in damage in a 2-week period to one region of the country. Basically, this part of the country, the Big Bend area got wiped out. That place got destroyed. Came up through, absolutely wiped out everything in the mountains here. And just, I don't know. It's, the unprecedented is getting precedent a lot recently because of the amount of energy we've got in our water and our atmosphere. Robert Hurst super chats. Is it possible Florida could be split in two? Not familiar with elevations across the state. Like split in two, like water coming through and just carving out? No. I mean, you get up into like Orlando. Go back to the map here. You get inland, and you are at like 100 feet elevation. So there is a little rise to the limestone that makes up the bedrock. But out here, you're at 1 foot, 10, 13 feet. Okay, so a little bit into the area at 13 feet here. But the airport. Here's the airport. The airport is at 7 feet, 5 feet, 4 feet, 1 foot, right? The main passenger terminal is at 10 feet. So the entire airport is gone. Especially if you've got 15-foot storm surge. Oh, sorry, this is MacDill Air Force Base. So the Air Force Base is gone. Where's the... Oh, here's the regular airport. Sorry, it's Tampa International. Tampa International is at 10 feet. Edges of it at 7 feet. The terminal itself, it's at 20 feet, maybe. So, but the runways are going to be gone. They're going to get chewed up. They're going to be covered in sand. So they're going to have to do all sorts of work just to clear the runways so aid can start coming in. St. Petersburg out here is, 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 2 foot, 5. Central St. Petersburg, you're as high as 40. So there's a little bit of a dome to Central St. So these places won't be into the water, but downtown's fucked. Downtown, little airport right here, they're at 5 feet, they're toast. All the barrier islands are toast. I mean, just from the storm surge of not getting direct hit, all these places are covered in like 6 feet of sand that got piled up on the shore. So they haven't had a chance to dig out yet. It's brutal. Wednesday night is going to be absolutely brutal. It'll be the most terrifying few hours of the people's lives who live there. If you haven't gotten out yet, just absolutely horrible. Okay. Richard White, Houston. My son wants to get into stargazing. We have Celestron 3105 for sale, 200 pounds. Can you recommend one? If you want a telescope, it doesn't really matter if it's like a Celestron or a Meade or what brand you get. I recommend a refractive telescope, something that has a mirror and reflects, because you won't get the same halos. If you've got a reflective telescope, not refractive. You go on a reflector. If you get a refractive one, you're using a lens, and the lens bends the light, and you start to get little rainbows around everything, so the images aren't quite as clear as you want them to be. Like I have a little 4-inch refractor, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. You can still see the moon really well, but if you look at distant objects, you're just getting these little rainbows around them. So I would go for something with a mirror. After that, there's 2 things you want to look for. One is convenience, the other is light gathering power. So the bigger the mirror you have, the more light gathering power you have, but the more expensive it becomes. And if you want a cheap one with a lot of light gathering power, all of a sudden it's going to be a lot less convenient. So it's like Dobsonians. See those big tube ones? They're like a little lazy Susan. So it spins and then it tilts. Those are the cheapest mounts you can possibly get. You need to have a very flat plane to put it on. It's not going to be powered, so it's not going to track anything for you. But you can also, if you spend the money, if you start spending like $1,000 on a telescope, you can get a crappy little telescope with a really cool mount that has all the celestial objects programmed into it. So once you get it set up, you type in what you want to look at, and it just goes dink and finds it, and it will track it across the sky as it moves. And so you can always maintain in there. You can do photography with it really well. Once you get into big mirrors with tracking, then you're going to be spending, the equivalent of a new car. And you get some Meade 20-inch telescope that has GPS, auto leveling, and a tracking system. You're probably spending $20,000 to $50,000 on that. So, how is he going to be really devoted on it? You might want to get him a smaller telescope with a nice tracking system. If you think it's going to be a passing phase, maybe get yourself a cool, bigger telescope that's a little bit more inconvenient to use. Those would be my suggestions. Yeah. Okay. Where was that one? That was BLTs, that one there. Robert Carter, I smell a rat RICO violations galore. That's what I smell too. I'm smelling lots of RICO. You get enough discovery off of this, you can point the Department of Justice at it, and they will dig deeper and do all the work for you at that point. Yeah. BLH smells like promissory estoppel. I don't know too much about promissory estoppel. Let's see here. Promissory estoppel. Boom. Promissory estoppel is a legal doctrine that prevents a party from going back on a promise another party has reasonably relied on. It's a contract law doctrine that allows a plaintiff to recover damages if they detrimentally relied on a promise made by the defendant, even if there's no actual contract. Yeah, because in order to renew your contract, you must meet these requirements and spend tens of millions of dollars drilling holes and developing the property. And you do that, and then you don't get to renew the contract? Yes, I agree. You have promissory estoppel. Yeah, stalker showing up there. Thank you, Julius. B of H. You're too innocent. Exxon, Shell, etc. would have threatened to fund an opposing politician for governor to make Abbott make them end the lease. I mean, however they're doing it, they're probably doing it that way. One second here. Okay. Lisa saw no lab shareholders meeting 25th of October. The board wants us to approve more shares. Yeah, it's probably coming. Oh man, we do have quite the stalker in here today. Oh, definite stalker. Okay. Olga Natswatsky. Talking about the approval of the share cells. Yeah, that's already approved. Jordan Kirkov, are you still visiting Superstonk? I got banned from Superstonk. So, I mean, if things pop up, I can read it, but I can't really do anything else.
Are you just absolutely reefed right now? Oh my god, I've never had you hang out this long before.
Yeah, he's having a great time. So yeah, I got banned from Superstock, or I can't make any comments. But if interesting articles come along, I still read them. Come on, computer. That guy monitor just died on me. Come on, that guy monitor. All right. Alvon Green's got 1,000 no labs. Excellent. Schwab is challenging 4,000 per share. Donkey Donks? 4,000 per share for what? I don't know what that means. It's a factory. Get the evidence to the SEC. Why do you still trust the SEC and not recognize their compromise? No, get the evidence to the Department of Justice. That's who you need to get it to. Since 54, next Bridge Hydrocarbons. Now what to do with MMTLP shares now? You got me. My guess is losing the university lands will make it so that whoever would be purchasing those 40 million shares probably won't want those shares. So that's gonna make getting further investment in the company almost impossible, in my opinion. So does that mean they did have the funds available to drill lands they have to start producing cash now? Honestly, I don't know. So, yeah. Arya's Shadow. Oh, talking about the stalker guy. Yeah, the stalker guy's gone now. Thank God. Sue DeWerf Penzarino. Ever heard of Peter Schweitzer? Peter Schweitzer? Peter Franz Schweitzer, American political consultant and writer, president of the Government Accountability Institute, senior editor at large of far-right media organization Breitbart News. Oh, he's the head of Breitbart News? He's probably a garbage person. So now I have heard of Peter Schweitzer. He's running Breitbart. He's probably not that cool a dude. Oh, and the chat just reset. Avids, can Trump or a big buyer step in, fix all this? No. But for next bridge, no. The only way the next bridge stuff is going to be figured out probably is in the legal system, because their entire value is based upon having the rights to the university lands, and not having the rights to those lands. I don't think their small little chunk in Louisiana or their small chunk in Oklahoma will be able to make up for that. So, no, I don't. And Trump doesn't have any money. Trump doesn't have money at all. He owes $500 million to E. Jean Carroll in the state of New York. You know, he's got nothing but lawsuits. All of his properties are underwater. If he sells off his chunk of DJT, Trump Media, you know, it's just going to be absolutely seized and used to pay off his fines there. So, no. I don't think Trump can do it. I don't think anyone else is going to step in with cash, especially if there isn't access to those lands. Which is why you got to sue. Take whatever cash you got left, pay for a lawyer, and sue the crap out of the university, and figure out why they rejected you, and what discussions they had in that decision. Because there's going to be a paper trail. There's going to be emails. There's going to be documents. There's going to be evidence. All sorts of things in there. Oh, crap. Where? I lost my spot here. Oh, my goodness. I'm really far behind in the chat. Holy smokes. Okay. Lil B.O. got drunk with power now. All right. Count Stockula, I knew this would happen. I said from the beginning they would try to bankrupt the company before ever paying or admitting wrongdoing. You're right, Count Stockula. That's exactly what's happening. Giga Shukla, thoughts on DJT going up lately? Not a clue. They still don't have any revenue source. DJT stock price. It's at $21.80 right now. Had a bottom out, what, $13? Drop the Chrome. Yeah, it'd been all the way down to $12.15, and now it's up 21. I wonder if the market is moving according to like the betting pools. So Polymarket, which is the betting site owned by Peter Thiel, all of a sudden for some reason is like, Trump's gonna win. All the money's on Trump, and Harris has no chance. So that might be what's happening there. Is people all of a sudden like, oh, maybe he's going to win and this can be worth something. But the polls are showing otherwise. The polls are still showing him getting his ass kicked. So Polymarket is Peter Thiel's thing, and Nate Silver, who started 538, now runs the Polymarket statistician lab, and all of the stats have been totally bogus so far. I think that Peter Thiel is basically paying him to lie to people, and that to me is what's going on here. The guy who founded the SPAC sold off his 100 million shares or whatever it was. He's out. That's where this huge drop came from. And maybe it's consolidating. Maybe he's selling enough of those gold watches he can start doing buybacks or something. I don't know. But that price is silly. It's silly for a company that makes $700,000 a quarter and loses $300 million a quarter. But hey, you know, the power of personality will definitely get that investment in there for sure. Steak dinner for Lil B. Chris Taylor, rare non-traded Tuesday. Yeah, I've been working on the car, the roof. So I got the little BMW. As long as it wasn't raining, I was leaving the roof down. But we had a really big cold night where a lot of dew fell down and fucked up the electronics of that car. So the roof got stuck down, and it took me all day to get the roof back up. So I got that up. Now I've got electrical gremlins because the airbag control unit or airbag module, SRS control unit, it's got moisture in it, and it's causing these electrical gremlins everywhere. So like, it's draining the battery every night. So I keep the battery charger on it. Car starts, it drives, the radio turns on, but no sound comes out of the radio. Turn the blinker, and the blinkers work on the outside, but no dash indicators. And then the airbag light is on. And there's been other weird little things. Like every once in a while, you turn the car off, and it does the ding, ding, ding as if you left the key in it, which is really annoying. And that likes to drain the battery. So next project, next sunny day, I've got to rip out the center console of the car, get the airbag control unit module out, put that in rice, sand down all the connectors, spray it with WD-40, get it cleaned up, and hopefully I can plug it all back in, maybe wrap it in plastic so it doesn't get wet again, and hope that it will work from there, and then I no longer have to charge my battery every night when I get home. So, okay, so it's 4:30. I got going. I'll see you guys for a show tomorrow. We'll discuss more. If I didn't get to your chats, we will discuss more and catch you guys all on the flip side, right? Okay, so look for a show tomorrow. I'll see you then, and we'll just do the regular outro.